that feel good? Good morning. Okay, we're officially live.
Oh,
Yes, welcome everybody. I have the lovely Billie with me today. Yay, exciting. She is, I don't know, very wonderful being. And her business is Raven Magik. And we've hosted a few classes with her in collaboration with Solauna Wellness. I'm Launa, if you've never watched us before. I'm just gonna catch my breath because technology, oh my God. So, guess what? We did all the things and I'm gonna start this now. Okay, gotta start our little recording for YouTube and Spotify. Yes, so we're live on Facebook. And I'm blurry-eyed, so I'm not gonna be able to see if anybody's actually leaving comments, so we'll just go with it, you know?
perfect.
Yeah. If by chance they do, cool.
We'll just get really close to the camera so I can read it.
Yeah, if we get really, really close to you. All right, so it is January 30th, and we are on episode 14 since the relaunch, well, since ever. And we're going to be talking about what Billie does to help others and herself, and things that she can probably bring insights that you may have never heard of, or maybe you have and you just want to know more. So we're going to give that a whirl and see where we go. So we have someone watching, can't tell who, but hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. All right, so Billie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and supporting this podcast with your presence. We're grateful to have you. And so if you wouldn't mind, share a little bit of your background with our viewers on what you do and what kind of brought you to that.
Okay, so I am an astrologer, human design reader, tarot reader, Reiki master. I mean, the list goes on because my nature is just very curious. Like, I'm someone who loves to learn, who's very passionate about just really getting into all the things we can do while we're in this body. So, so part of what I love is right now is the astrology and human design. But the funny thing is it started, I don't know if you've heard of the Uranus opposition around 40. So this is usually like the midlife crisis when like things change, right? So Uranus is like the expect the unexpected energy, and it just is what ignited my passion for astrology. So all of a sudden I just became obsessed. I wasn't obsessed before my 40s with astrology. I mean, I was, you know, like everyone reading my horoscope and stuff like that. But anyway, so it was just a part of where I drove down that rabbit hole and just learned everything I could. And so I've been doing readings for about 10 years now. So I'm currently 52, so I started around in my 40s.
She gives away all the details.
Oh,
see?
Yeah.
She looks great.
Well, thanks. Yeah, so it's just grown, and you know, I started human design more intensely a couple of years ago, so it's been a couple of years with that. And tarot, it's just all connected, right?
Yes.
Everything is just a different language for interpreting our authentic signature, who we are, our blueprint. And the more I dive into the different things, I love like connecting all the dots, right? So yeah, so my journey has just always been about learning, and you know, it's been a very spiritual path just because life happens, and trying to find the answers and find peace within. This has been a part of what's brought me deeper understanding to this experience, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
There's so much to it that we don't even realize. You go through your life and it's just like you're in this fog, and then you have awareness of something, and that just piques your interest, and then you keep going with something else, and it just keeps opening up more and more the more you're willing. It's like, whew, right? You know? Yeah.
And every time you answer some questions, you get more questions.
Right?
So it just doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, because our life is just about learning, I think. We're here, this is Earth School, and the more we can learn by the time we leave here, it's better for our soul.
Yeah, it is. Consciousness is ever expanding, and we are consciousness ever expanding. And some of us choose to do it consciously, and some of us are still expanding. We're just not doing it consciously.
Right? It's like, why did I just not feel rested when I woke up? Probably because you're astral traveling.
Right?
Yes. So if we were to take one of the things that you do, like we've had you for astrology sound baths, some a little bit of human design in there too.
Yeah.
Could you maybe explain, because again, it's January 30th, 2025, and you have some information about that today. So do you want to share a little bit about like what's going on with our energy?
Yeah.
Technology.
Yes. Yeah. You got to experience it firsthand this morning, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So Uranus was retrograde for about 5 months.
Okay.
And it's in the sign of Taurus.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's probably somewhere near your sun, possibly. But it would be still in the same zodiac sign, right? And so it went direct this morning at 9:22 a.m. And it is an electric planet, right? It's the airwaves, it's the astrology, and a part of it is expect the unexpected. Right? But it also is like that spark of inspiration and insights, right? So because it's been offline for the last 5 months, and we've had a lot of like retrograde planets, but they're slowly all coming back online. Right now it's just Mars and Jupiter. So when a planet is retrograde, it just slows down the experience and internalizes it. Like we're supposed to reflect, reassess, redo. It's just really trying to be like, so for Uranus, it'd be like, what is, your unique way of showing up in the world, right? It's all about that authenticity and thinking outside the box, right? So it's just been more of an internal reflection. And now it's like, now we can put that into action and we can express ourselves and have a little more momentum, right? Mars is still making it tricky because it is our energy planet. It's our passion. It's kind of like, to me, it's like the gas pedal, and it's retrograde. So, and in the sign of Cancer, which is water. So this creates a little bit of like, have you ever tried running in the water? That's what it feels like. So if you're trying to go too fast, Mars is just like, slow down.
Yeah.
So.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome. So when you say retrograde, some people may not understand fully what that is, but for me, like if I talk to anyone, it's in Mercury retrograde, for example.
Most people know that one.
They know that one, but they're like, oh my God, it's like a tower moment. Everything's crashing down and it must be a retrograde. So there's got to be some positives to that, right?
Yeah, well, think about it. If we were to go nonstop forward without pausing, taking a deep breath, and just being still, we would burn out.
Yes.
Right? So each planet that chooses to go retrograde and so the retrograde is just, it's the appearance of it going backwards, but obviously it's not, right? It's just a part of the energy giving us a little more reflective time, right? So it's a little bit slower and still. So when it happens, the positive is like if you're trying to, especially with Mercury retrograde, if you're trying to do all the things and get all the things done, and it's retrograde when you're supposed to be like redoing things and reflecting and kind of like, taking inventory, of course things are going to screw up, right? This is you not reading the fine print. This is you not like, slowing down and really taking notice of what's happening, right? You're trying to push through energy that's meant to be a little more still and calm.
Okay.
Right?
So would it be similar to, say, hibernation?
Similar. It's definitely more like yin energy, right? So that like obviously we're still always going to function. We always have things to do. Life is constantly happening, and we don't get to pause life because something's retrograde.
Although we'd like to,
right? Yes, right.
Yeah.
It's like just like give me a second, everyone. Everyone, be still. Nobody move. No, it doesn't work that way. So it is just like a time to, first of all, recognize the energy, right? So like with Mars, it is like, what are you passionate about? What projects have you been working on? What needs your attention? And so you can kind of like, it's like taking review and really being present with everything that you've been doing. Where are you putting your energy? What's draining your energy? It's like you're being made to be more mindful of your energy with Mars retrograde. And then when it goes direct in February, at the end, like February 23rd, then it's like, okay, everything you've been like fixing and working and reflecting on, you'll now have the momentum and more energy to go forward, right?
Okay.
So like Jupiter is also retrograde right now and in the sign of Gemini, which rules our thoughts and our communication. and our beliefs, right? If we're looking at Jupiter, so we're looking at, you know, our bigger truths, our bigger beliefs, but they need to align internally. And so we look at our stories that we're telling ourselves. We're looking at our thought process, and it's kind of like, let's not take in new perspectives and beliefs and philosophies. It's like, let's like sit with our truth and allow them to kind of show up within us, right? And so this will also go direct in February. So yeah, and so just having Uranus go direct this morning, there will be a little more excitement. Jupiter's also making a very positive aspect to the Sun, which is actually one of the most positive contacts is Jupiter and the Sun. So it's good energy. So there's a lot of good stuff happening. It's exciting and it's positive. So today's a good day to really embrace that. Cool. So yeah, but I think in the transition, it's just like that little glitch you were getting with all your technology this morning.
Like you wanted to record today, right? You're funny.
Yeah, it's just like,
so yes. So with that energy then, is it normally about a month where we're in retrograde, or sometimes it's longer?
So planets are always going retrograde, right? Like there's like pockets where they're all direct. Okay. But it's kind of like when all the planets come back online, like going direct, I think we get like a week with all the planets direct. And then in March, Venus goes retrograde.
They'll take turns.
Right. But think about it. We get to take, like, it's like we can put our energy forward in some areas of our life, but like, let's pause in this area, right? So it gives us the opportunity to really fully experience everything. And when we trust the ebb and flow of the energy, instead of like pushing and trying to make things happen all the time, it just gives us like permission. We just need to have that, because so much comes, inspiration, understanding, all this stuff comes from the stillness, right? So it just kind of takes us out of our way to just be like, so if we do feel hiccups and stress and challenges, it's because we're mentally trying to control the energy instead of using it the way it's been gifted to us, I guess. Right?
So fighting against the flow, essentially.
Yeah, so it's just learning to see where we are, what the cosmos are asking us to reflect on, and what, it's just like, okay, like time out, go, you know, sit alone with this energy, understand it for yourself personally so that you can consciously and intentionally bring it into the world, right? So, so they all have their pros and cons, their gifts, their challenges. Yes. And the more we understand astrology, the more we understand the rhythms, and this is collectively, like, and then you take it to a whole nother level, because then you can put that energy into your personal natal chart and go, oh, how is this like for me, I have a Taurus moon, so this Uranus has been on my moon, right? So it might be somewhere else, for wherever Taurus is in your natal chart, Uranus will be like sparking insight and inspiration in that area of your life, right? So again, the layers, right? So collectively we all experience it, and then personally, and that's my job as an astrologer, is to look at the transits, to look at where they are in your life and how they are influencing different things, right?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know the first thing. Like I'm aware of astrology, but it's never been something I could retain very well. Like I know planets and stuff. But even like last week, there was this big thing I totally missed where everything lined up in the sky.
Right.
What was that about?
Yeah, so this is just about the planets being visible to us. And so, and the funny thing is, it's like, when I look at like the different things that are happening, the different transits, and because so much is posted online, right? And there's constantly things being, this is happening, and there's so much to keep up with, right?
Way too much.
Yeah, and so for me, I naturally am not like overly consumed with all of that, right? Because it is, for me, my passion is working one-on-one, right? So I have a lot of Libra in my chart, so there's a lot of reflection relationship, people interaction. So I love looking at people's personal journeys and expressing why they're here and what their soul's purpose is, right? So I do understand because I'm on social media and I see like the big hype about all the planets. So it was about Saturn and Jupiter and Mars and Venus all being in alignment, like visually to be seen in the sky, right? And then you could also see Neptune and Uranus, but you would need more than your eyes.
Right.
For the telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it's just I just trust what I'm naturally drawn to, and for me it really is the personal story, right? But of course the transits, it's like when I look at it, I get inspiration and insight when I see it, and it's like, especially visually, right? Like when I looked at today's transits and the chart, like all the planets right now are running from Aquarius to Cancer, like, so they visually are all in a row. And the leader of this train right now, because sometimes the planets show up like all over the chart.
Okay.
Right? But right now, the leader of this train is Mars retrograde and Jupiter retrograde. So I feel like it's like this slow chugging, and everybody's feeling it. Like, I've heard so many people say that, like, January's felt like the longest month ever. Like, and it's still like time is just like going in slow motion right now. So I'm hoping with the spark, because Uranus was right behind that energy, right, in Taurus. And now it's like, you know, I feel like it's like a little bit of an ignition spark. It's like, oh, some energy, some fuel here, let's go. And then it's going to start pushing everything. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, let's buckle up then.
Right? We got a whole week we can run. No.
Okay, so if, I know there's probably people that are going to come back and watch this later too. So if someone were to want to book with you, can you explain how to reach you and where you are on socials?
Yes. So my Instagram and Facebook is Raven Magik. So Magik is how I spell magic for my business. So, and my website is ravenmagik.com. So you can go onto my website and you can book any of the readings. You can also message me because sometimes people don't know what to book.
Right.
Right? It's like, do I book human design? Do I book tarot? And so I am starting to do a lot more blending of services where I look at all the things for them because it is, again, it tells so much, right?
Makes sense, for sure.
So yeah, it depends on what you're looking for, but sometimes people want to dive into just their human design chart. And so I can go, so that's like a 90-minute session, right, that I do. Okay. And same with the natal chart, that's a 90-minute session. So they all bring different value, and obviously there's so much that, you obviously can't unpack it all in 90 minutes.
Right. So when you started getting into astrology, what was the first thing that you looked into? Like you mentioned this chart. What is that? Something you started looking at and trying to decipher, or?
No, the first thing that totally like fascinated me, that like sucked me into this whole world, was the elements. I was like, oh, we're all different elements? That's like so cool. Like, you know, so knowing you're a Taurus, you're Earth, right? So that Earth energy has this very grounding, very like secure and routine, and it has this like different feel. And I started noticing the feel of people's physical bodies, right? Like I'm air dominant, so like my hands are always going. And once I start talking, like my talking just goes nonstop, right? It's like that balloon. It's like, and then I'm done. I'm all out of air. It's like, okay, give me a break. Right? So yeah, the elements were just something that fascinated me. So the 4 elements in astrology is the earth, the water, the air, and the fire. And the other thing that was really cool was learning that, like one of my children, who is a fire sign, she's Sagittarius, but in her chart, she's water dominant.
Oh.
Because you're looking at your whole chart, right? You're not just looking at your sun sign.
Okay.
And so sometimes when people are like, oh, or whatever, astrology doesn't make sense. Like, I don't believe in it because I don't resonate with what they say about my sun sign. But the truth is like you're all the planets, you're all the energy, and you're looking at the patterns of the planets in your natal chart. And so it's my job to interpret the combination of the planets in your story and how they influence each other. right? So yeah, so knowing that even though you're an earth sign, you might actually be a dominant other element, right? And just knowing that just kind of helps, it makes things make sense,
Right?
Because they all have different functions, right? So that was my first, my first obsession was recognizing. I would ask everyone their sun sign and learn, okay, oh, they're an air, they're fire, they're water. And generally, people are expressing that dominant, like that element.
Okay.
Like in general, right? So I just started feeling what water people felt like, right? And what fire people felt like, and air and earth, right?
Right.
So that was my game. And I do that watching TV and shows. I'll be like, oh,
fun.
they look like an air sign, or I Google and see when their birthday is.
It helps when there's celebrities and that's actually out there, right?
Right, you
so
can
you can't
see.
stop people normally.
No, I know. I've always wished we could have like a hologram of our zodiac, like our charts above us, so we can just see.
Right, that'd be cool. I mean, I feel like if you were to tap into that dimension, perhaps, you might be able to actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of like seeing someone's aura.
True. And then, yeah, I guess that is true because I do pick up certain things. Like, I'm like, oh, they must have like a Mars and Scorpio. I feel that energy from it, right? So you pick up little bits and pieces.
Yeah. So you may not see it, but you feel it, you know it. So
totally. Yeah.
And I think like all of these elements that work together, in a way, it's kind of like intuition too, right? So everybody has all the clairs, but some are stronger than others.
Yes.
And so when they go to use them, they're like, I'm not a psychic, or I'm not a this, or I'm not a that, because I can't do this or that. But you're really strong at this. But they don't realize that they have these beautiful, strong gifts to use, but they think they're not capable because they're not the same as someone else.
Right, yeah. It does show up in different ways for everyone. And even in your natal chart, you can see the different intuitive gifts that you have. And some of us are like physically picking up things in our body, and others it is that vision and that seeing, or some of it is, it's just like you said. And it's learning what your natural wiring is, that is how you're meant, because we all have a sixth sense, in the sense of picking up energetic information, and it's just learning what yours naturally is.
So it's a lot easier to flow instead of fighting things that don't really work for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that really makes sense. So is there any stories that come to mind about maybe someone that you've interacted with that was really profound, or just kind of give you some clarity, or even sometimes some validation?
I think my favorite thing that I hear after I do a reading, especially for people I've never met, and I've heard multiple times, is like, you've known me my whole life. Like they're like, you've just explained my entire life's journey to me and everything I've experienced. And I don't even know how it's done, because all I'm doing is interpreting the papers, like technically, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm interpreting the energies, but it's just, I just love hearing that, because it gives people permission, because it's like being seen is so like validating, and people are like, wow, you really do see me, and this is who I am.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and it's validating because now they don't doubt it. They're like, wow, like, you know, I knew I was this way, or I experienced these things, but our mind always interferes and goes, yeah, but that's not a big deal, or oh, everybody's like that, or whatever, right? So mentally we get in the way, but when someone who's never met you is able to look at your energetic, story, and tell you about your gifts and your challenges and the experiences you've been through, which all comes through human design and astrology, right? For me, that's my channel to, get the information. Then it's just like, now they get to own it, and they're inspired, and they're like, yes, okay, no more doubt here. I'm moving forward with this truth. And then they're intentionally on purpose, right?
Yep.
And that's the goal for all of us. And that purpose is just to be our authentic self.
Yeah.
That's it.
And confidence to show up.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
ourselves.
Like, that's the fun part, right?
Yeah. So I find a lot of people feel lost because they don't think they know what their purpose is, or sometimes we have to tell people that just being is your purpose.
Yeah.
Because whatever energy you're emitting, that's what you need to work on.
Right.
Whether it's kind of crappy or you've been working on a lot of stuff and you feel better, you're still giving out to others all the time. And some people are just like, they'll be blocked with that. Like, I have no purpose. I don't know what to do with my life. It's like, you just have to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's such a relief.
I know.
Like, it's like, oh, like mentally I'm like exhausted because I'm trying to find the right thing to do or the right way to express myself. But when you're just being, and this is the cool thing about human design, is that it brings you back into your body, and it encourages you to feel your truth instead of mentally figure it out, right? And so when we're just showing up and responding on this energetic level every day, so being and exercising just being, we naturally are responding to the things that are our stepping stones to our purpose. So we're not needing to actually figure out the purpose because it will show up. Like, it will be drawn into our world naturally when we give ourselves permission to just be in every day and every moment our authentic expression. And sometimes we don't know, like, well, what is my authentic expression? Because we are conditioned right from the get-go. We are homogenized into like this like package of how to be and not be, and like we have all these rules, right?
Yep.
So this is the other gift of human design, is that it shows where you're prone to conditioning, right? So the different centers, if they're open, this is where the environment will come in and influence you. So we can unpack where the conditioning may naturally be happening for you in your human design, and how to recognize your innate gifts that are constantly within you. But yeah, it is like, that's the only thing any of us have to figure out, is the being part. And the rest will fall into place. And what you do, and yeah, like, I didn't know I wanted to do all of this stuff. Like, I wasn't thinking I was going to be an astrologer or a tarot reader. But what happened is I got so immersed. And I just remember having the thought that I love the idea of guiding and helping and being supportive for people and bringing information about themselves, because I am a very observant person, and I've always been a very observant person. So I can see and pick up things, right? That's part of the intuitive, abilities. But now having the modality was my first permission to kind of be like, because it's like, yeah, I knew that I couldn't just be like, oh, I can help, like, come talk to me. Like, it didn't feel right. So I put that out there, and then all of a sudden, like, just to myself, I was just like, yeah, this is something I know in my heart that I love doing. And then all of a sudden, tarot came in, and astrology came in, and human design came in. And I wasn't like, I didn't think or plan those things. They just showed up. Right? So it's like, yeah, I guess it was just able to recognize certain things about myself and be it, and then the universe will provide that the outlet, I guess.
Right? To give you those doors.
Absolutely.
That you can choose, right?
Yeah.
Because I found for me, I went through a lot of challenges because I was pushing things, forcing things.
Most people do this.
Most people do that.
Yes.
And so it took, like, the universe, literally, physically making myself hurt before I would listen. I'm like, there's a brick wall energetically.
It's like, how about now?
It's
like, are you gonna stop?
Like, knock me over. It literally happened a few times, and I was like, okay, I gotta make a change. So that's where I stepped in fully as well, because I couldn't do my old life anymore. And I was forced to make a decision of, do I want to stay in that and not be well, or do I want to choose me and move on and be who I'm supposed to be?
Right.
So it's really important to listen to our bodies.
Yes.
Take it from me. Don't do what I did. Wait till you're almost not here anymore, because your body's shutting down.
Wow, yeah.
Just like, there's a certain point where you have a breaking point.
Right.
And hopefully it doesn't get to that.
Right. Yeah, that saying where the universe whispers and gets a little bit louder, and then it shouts, and we want to avoid the shouts.
Yes. So I know there's a lot of safety that people want to feel as well in being who they truly are without being criticized or ostracized, or whatever all those words are, told that you're crazy, you put out this thing, and you're like, okay, world, let's see what happens. Right. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because you're living your true authentic life, and the universe conspires to bring you what you need.
Absolutely.
Always.
And it's just, I don't know if this is healthy or not, but I just see it as this big game that we're all playing.
Yeah.
And then we die. So
yes.
it's like, don't take it too seriously.
It's not the Hunger Games. I mean, sometimes it feels like it.
Definitely, right? But it's about the attachment, right?
Yes.
And if we're attaching to the experience and expecting it to be a certain way, that's where the resistance comes, right? This is where we can't accept and be in the flow. And we're like, no, it's got to be this way. And then we're like interfering. And so, with human design, the mind is not meant to make our decisions in our journey. It's a tool, and it's a great tool. We need our minds, right? Our minds are beautiful. Yes. But the minds are meant for other people. It's meant to help other people outside of ourselves, not within ourselves. Within ourselves, we have our own system that is physical, and it's a feeling, and it's a knowing, and it has nothing. So as soon as you feel like you are trying to figure life out mentally, then you are ignoring the wisdom of your body and your truth. And human design gives you even more specifics of where it shows up in your body.
Cool.
Right?
And I know, hi Carla, I know I've been saying this to myself a long time now. I would like to get my own reading done, because I had a brief one, as we told you. I think Sophie and I, we had both ours done, and also together.
Okay,
briefly with someone that we know, and it was very intriguing, but we didn't dive in deeper to that.
Right.
But it's really cool how things just kind of went synergistic, and it's like, okay, good, I'm glad we're in business together, because it seems like we're supposed to be, so that's really nice.
Yeah, definitely.
So things were really good that way. So, but we also felt that on an energetic level from the first day we met. It's like, we know this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing about this stuff, is because if we're paying attention, we don't need the language and the interpretation of the astrology and the human design, because we feel it, we know it, and we understand it, and we can trust that, right? But because we are human and our mind is like, but, and we question it, this just gives you like, okay, here's your proof, or here's the validation, and then it's like, oh, that makes so much sense, and then we just kind of digest it a little deeper, because we are seeing some sort of physical explanation.
Right, it's like a validation in a way, right? So, we don't always need that, but sometimes it's sure nice.
Yeah, it is. It is. It gives us permission to just kind of relax and accept. Yes. And I think that's it. We resist. Mentally, we resist with life and our journey, right? And, mankind has been operating from a mental plane for a very long time. And we are moving into a more feeling expression and nature and intuitive, and so more and more people are recognizing that they are more than their minds, and they're more than they're doing. And so more people are like, there's so much more. I can feel it, I know it, and now they're accepting it. And so many people, I feel, are coming into the world with their natural gifts and abilities now. And it's so beautiful, because that's all we can do, and that's the part we all agree to play,
right? We strive our whole lives, get to our midlife crisis before we figure it out, and then people just walk in, get born in here, and they're like, I know who I am, and let's just carry on. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
It's really interesting to see each generation grow more and more awareness.
Yes.
Like, imagine the next 5-10 years of new beings that come in.
Right.
And what they're going to bring.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. And they're going to help us too, because they're so much more advanced.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. When I do readings now for young people, like in their 20s, it's like, it's not the same. Like, they already come in with a certain understanding, right? So we are definitely growing, but we are, because we're creating our own awareness and consciousness, we are expanding this energy field in this way. And so we are bringing in this energy, because we're all doing this together. You know what I mean? So it is, but as far as how we experience it, we definitely are becoming more aware sooner, but it's also, we are parenting differently too.
True.
And we also have the internet. So now we are getting downloads and information at,
Rapid
speed.
speed.
Yeah. So
we're used to this fast-paced life now, so everything comes in fast.
yeah, it's instant, right?
And taking breaks is like, what?
Right. Yes, exactly.
So that's almost like the learning point here. It's like, yes, retrograde means you need to slow down.
Right? Exactly. It's like, oh man, do I have to?
Right.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know how to anymore living in the cities and stuff. Like, there's no downtime.
No.
Even when we're like sitting around, it's like, oh, I'm on my phone working. I don't really take time off to do nothing very often. So it's like, it's a choice too. Gotta think that through.
It's the balance, right?
Yes.
And there's so much that comes from the stillness. And there's a lot of inspiration that is sparked from that silence, right? And even if that's like meditation, breath work, sound baths, all of that stuff is our opportunity to pause and just be in our bodies and just feel and see what comes up, right? So these are the gifts of these different modalities that we're using and why they're becoming so popular, because they are our support.
There are outlets for sure. And that's a good reminder, because I guess in a way I do a lot of meditation without realizing it, because I'm an active meditator. I'm not the sit here, just do nothing and clear my mind.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
No.
But to be able to be creative and sing and do the sound baths and those types of things is my outlet. So I get to do that for my work now, which is like, oh yeah, I do get to do that. So really I am giving myself what I need most of the time. Without even realizing it.
Absolutely. That's awesome. But that's like, to me, all meditation and stillness is full presence.
Yes.
Like being exactly where you are, not distracted, not in your mind. You're just experiencing what you're experiencing. And that's that active meditation part. So and I think that probably we do that more than we realize, especially if we're on a spiritual practice. Right. So. And
that's another thing. Like, I'll get a lot of clients that come in and be like, I don't know how to meditate. I'm like, well, your body naturally does it. Do you ever lose track of time? Yeah. Well, that's meditation too.
Right.
Like, you went for a walk and 5 hours later, I did that when I was a kid. My parents freaked, I think.
Oh,
because they're like, where'd she go? I lived in the middle of nowhere.
Oh no.
And I just decided to go for a walk with my dog, and I didn't come back for like 5 hours. I was meditating the whole time because I didn't even realize where I'd been.
Oh, that's
just
amazing.
totally going. It was. I still remember that day because I used to do that a lot as a kid. Didn't know why. But I was very connected, and I didn't realize what that was until I was older.
Right. And that is the part we need to get back to, because there is less mental activity when we were younger, right? Maybe not in the kids today, but when we were growing up, we were more into the being as opposed to thinking of how we're supposed to do things, right? So to just kind of remember that. And that's that curiosity and that play. And to me, that creative energy is how we connect to spirit, right?
Very much.
Because it just brings in that free-flowing, intuitive channeling, all that stuff comes through. So to me, creativity and intuitive gifts are the same thing. So even if someone doesn't think they're intuitive, but they are like an artist of some sort, it's like, wow, like you're literally bringing intuitively these beautiful pieces of art.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
And art is actually just creation from you, right? So it could be song, it could be food, it could be whatever you're putting your heart into, that's creation.
That's right.
Right? And that's you connecting to spirit. So
so we have lots of opportunities throughout the day to be able to have that awareness and intention. Right? Like, I'm making supper tonight, and I'm going to intend on infusing that with love, even if I do it anyway, but I'm actually going to make a point of.
It tastes different.
It tastes different.
It really does. I totally believe that. I know the difference when somebody, like when I go to like Subway and they throw my food together, I taste that.
Or not. It's bland.
Right? It's like, oh, this does not taste very good. Whereas when someone makes my sandwich and they're putting it together and putting all the love in, and you can tell their energy is like totally connected, I enjoy it more.
That's
so
right.
yes, I do believe that ingredient is very important in our food, because we're digesting it. We want that.
That's right. And so as Reiki practitioners, that's really important to always put that into our food, our water, everything that we do. And even if you don't have attunements, you still have energy, and it's still Reiki. It's just different intensity.
Right.
So anybody can do that, right? People pray over their food. It's the same thing. Just called something else.
Right. Yes. They're bringing the love in.
That's right. Yes. So what else can we talk about? Let's see. Well, you do human design. Is there a way to, without a chart, to show people, or at least explain like how many points there are, what they kind of, or is that kind of hard to do?
What do you mean points?
Like the different numbers and stuff, like what they're kind of, like how many there are, that kind of thing?
For them specifically, like each person, or just what it is?
Again, I don't know enough. See, this is problem. But I guess from the charts themselves, when you're doing a human design for someone, is there a specific amount of points that have to be in there, or is it just where they land, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what it is so because it's a combination of astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, the chakra system, so there's multiple systems that show up on your body graph, right? And I will just say, if you go to my website, ravenmagic.com, you can put in your birth information for free and get your body graph chart, and you can download the PDF of your body graph as well as your astrology chart. And I just actually inserted, you can buy a 60-page human design report to read and understand your specific human design. So that's all on my website.
Cool.
So so what happens though is that the planets from your birth chart are in different gates, and the gates are the I Ching, so the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, which is an ancient practice that's been around for like over 3,000 years. And it is the archetype of being human. It is the energy of all the different experiences. And we are all the experiences, but it, like you said, it's like we get highlighted specific things that we're meant to understand. And the way I visualize it is like each of the gates, so you'll see 64 numbers on your body graph when you bring up your body graph chart. And you will see some of the numbers colored in, which means there's a planet on that number, right? So like I have, my sun is on gate 50, which is the I Ching of the gate 50. And so you'll be able to see that, and then you'll explore, well, what is this, right? So for me, it's the cauldron, it's the cosmic order, it's like all about the cosmos, which, you know, for me, another validation of what I do, right? It's like, oh, that's so cool, I love that. And when I look at each person's sun gate, it's like, wow, like it really is a part of what they're here to do. But the neat way I visualize it is like I've been given a key to this gate, and I have access to this information, cool. Right? So we all have access to all the information, but I'm like the key master. I hold the energy where I get to like step into the library anytime and get all that information. Well, it is just unlocking your genetic coding. It's in your DNA, and so now you have this natural insight to this information. So anywhere that you have a planet, you've got the key, you've got the understanding. Sure, you can experience the other ones because we're all interacting and all doing life. But personally, for me, I'm meant to hang out and understand and emit the energy of this gate because it's built into my DNA. It's in my design. Right? So when you understand the different gates and the different planets, where they land, you can have a couple of planets in the same gate, right? That just amplifies, right? You would look at, like, Mercury is the planet of communication, and that planet I look at, for me, it's in gate 43, sorry. The opposite is 23. So mine's in gate 43. And having my Mercury there, this is someone who gets insights and inspiration out of the blue and thinks of things differently. And so I know that my Mercury, how I think, is meant to bring new perspectives and new ways of communicating things, right? Okay. So you would look at, well, where's my Mercury gate? What things do I love to talk about? And understand, oh, it's in this gate, and this gate represents this part of life. And it's like, oh, that's so cool. I love talking about those things. I love expressing that energy, right? So there's, it's like kind of scary, but cool how mapped out it is.
Yep.
Because like you do these things without knowing it, and then you learn it and go, oh, like nobody told me to be this way. I'm just being this way. And now I'm looking at this map that came when I entered this planet.
Yep.
And it's already been like written out, right? So it's like when they say kids don't come with manuals, yes they do.
Kind of do. Well, that's kind of too late in my regard.
I know.
Kids are 20s now. It's like, well, they're probably a lot like me, and that was part of the problem. We had a lot in common, so we butted heads sometimes.
And you know what? I just added to my website is human design, a mini human design report for kids.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's meant for children,
Yeah.
and it just talks about their different centers, and you'll get like their body graph on it, and then a little bit of a write-up to read of what's possible in their journey, what their possible challenges might be. Obviously, there's so many factors that come in. It's not black and white.
Of course.
And then also how to parent them with that energy. So the thing that's good for them and the thing that might be more challenging. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. Like some kids are meant to go to bed before they're tired. They need to wind down, have some time alone, read books, and just have like a very supportive, calm environment before they go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what some children need. Other children need to be exhausted, fully burnt out. Active play before bed's good for them. Like doing activities actually can, for some kids it'll overstimulate them and then it takes them longer to fall asleep. For other kids it knocks them out like a light. And it's like, so understanding their body graph, it's like, oh, okay. And if you have one of each, which two of my grandchildren I know have, and their brother and sister, and one needs the quiet time, and the other one needs to be like, busy for
Run.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
but it helps us support and parent in a way. And yeah, I wish I had this information raising my 3 children. Now for my 3 grandchildren, I'm able to bring this information. So that's a gift. But yeah, it's just all a part of it, right? So we're all growing and learning and expanding. And as we continue to do so, it just happens faster and more. And yeah, it becomes more harmonious. And I think that's our goal, right?
So I had a thought, and I don't know if it's like aligns with what your understanding is of all these things, but do you find the same thing if the time people are born, would that considerably be like, if someone's born in the morning, they're a morning person, because that's where their cycle is all the time? Because I found with me, I was born in the morning and I'm more of a morning person, and my kids are more like almost noon, and that's when they tend to want to stay in bed till.
Right.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, well, if you're looking at your natal chart, right? So your sun, like there's 12 houses in a natal chart, and there's the horizon, which is like your ascendant and descendant. I know it's all mumbo jumbo lingo here, but I'm seeing it visually, right? But you have the circle, right? And it's divided into 12, and then there's a line through the middle, right? Yeah. And so what we have is that in the top part of the chart, right, is we're looking at the ascendant. So yeah, this is like the nighttime, and then this is the daytime, and then this is the nighttime below, right? Okay. And so what happens is if your sun is above in this part of it, this is part of when it likes to be up and active, and then when it's below, it's like naturally in those houses being like more private, more personal, more in the morning or day or night, right? So there are ways to look at all that. So yeah, and that's just kind of the setup of the houses and the planets, right? And looking where things are, where you shine, like whatever house your sun sign, like your sun, the sun shows up in, this is where you shine the brightest, right? The houses are like a stage that you perform on, and the sun is like your main character. And whatever house it shows up in, if it's in the 10th house, it shines in career and work and being out in the world and really interacting with people. Like that's where it gets the most like energy, right? Because it's the fuel of your expression, right? So mine is in the 6th house, so I know this has to do with health and day-to-day routines and just finding like I love, mine's like work, but it's like there's like 3 workhouses, money house. Anyways, there's too much. I can't go into it without sounding like I don't want people starting to glaze over. I was like, what? Right? But I guess my point is that wherever your sun lands, all the planets, but just technically your sun, because it's a big part of your expression, whatever house it's in, you can look at that and go, okay, what does this house mean? And understand, oh yes, I do really love, you know, this or that or whatever it is, whatever house it's in, because every house represents different areas of life.
Okay.
Right? So anyways, I'll stop there.
No, that's good. That's good information, and it also gives people an idea of maybe what they want to talk to you about if they want to make an appointment, because if they don't know what you do, now they do a bit more.
Right, yes.
They can get an idea of that, because it is really, there's a lot to it. It's not just simple, you know. There's a lot to it. So you have such a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate you bringing that forward today, because it helps anyone understand more, because you have a good way of sharing too.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
try. Try not to get onto too many tangents, because it just like I get so excited talking about this stuff. But and sometimes I need to be reminded that not everyone has, like, they're not seeing what I'm seeing when I'm talking about things, right?
Yeah.
But because I've studied this, like I'm like, oh, this and this and this, and like I literally connecting to the visuals.
Yeah.
It's like I wish I could share it. Like
I almost can see it. It's kind of like Doctor Strange. You see all the light while you're talking.
That's
it's like,
how I feel.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So we do have a few minutes left to chat. So is there anything that you wanted to bring forward, talk about, share?
Anything more? I don't know.
Like, you have shared so much already, which is amazing.
Yeah. Like anything relevant. I guess just continue to explore. Like sometimes actually, so sometimes when people come into this stuff, they want to learn it all. Some people are like, no thank you, you do it for me, that's fine. Right? I guess anybody who's curious and wants to understand it, whether it's personally, whether it's like, or on a bigger picture, the way I learned was trusting intuitively what caught my interest. So it was like, oh, elements, so cool. And I like obsessed about elements. And then I learned about the seasons, and it's just like one thing led to another. And instead of trying to like figure it all out, sometimes I would come across things and go, okay, that's going on a shelf because it's like right over my head, but I know it's relevant, and I'm going to just like pause that. And then all of a sudden, as I'm going down the things that I'm drawn to, then it's like, oh, that makes sense. Now I can bring it back in. You know what I mean? So I think it's just intuitively allowing yourself to be guided to what feels like what you're naturally curious about, and try not to over analyze and figure it all out mentally, because that's when it becomes too confusing, right? Because I feel like if we're digesting it when we're naturally physically being brought into different things, it's organic and it's more natural, right? Does that make sense?
Yep. It flows. It just is.
Yeah, because I just know, because I do teach all of this stuff as well, right? So I put on classes for all of this. And I do find that there's always somebody who just wants to know it all, and they want to figure it all, and they're like, what about this and this and this, and they're like way ahead. It's just like, no, let's like look at this, and then this, and then this. And again, the stepping stones will come up organically.
That's right.
When we just really, and because sometimes things are distractions, right? Like we're like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. And it takes us away from our truth.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I know we're all prone to being like, because it's all so cool.
Squirrel.
Right? It's like, what's that? What's that? And we really do want to learn it all and feel it all and know it all, right? Yes. But there is something that's naturally wired within us. And if we're feeling it and allowing that to guide us to what's true for our true curiosity, our true interest, then I feel like things are a lot easier to understand and to know, and to believe like this is a part of your path because you naturally are present with it and want to learn more about it, and you're not mentally forcing it and trying to digest it up here, right? Because if we're trying to over digest things in our mind, it's just, it's overwhelming. It burns out,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
I mean, obviously we use our mind to learn things, but again, it's just finding what feels good for you and creating a harmonious presence in our everyday. And I guess, yeah, I don't know why that came through, but it's just saying when you're curious and want to learn things, just do it step by step and try not to put the whole apple in your mouth. That's
Right?
One bite at a time.
Yes. So I found there's been quite a few people over the years that would come and just say, I don't even know what I want to do. I don't have any hobbies. I don't know who I am. And it's basically they've shut down.
Yeah.
They have no spark. You're like, oh, okay. So then it's like, okay, you go try a few things and something's going to resonate eventually.
Exactly.
Just keep doing something with your, creativity.
Yeah.
Build that creativity, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
But it's really, there's a lot of
It
people
can be
like that.
tricky if we have been kind of conditioned into one way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things is
Yeah.
recognizing what excites you the most in each moment and to do that, right? And even if it's just a little bit more, like this seems a little more exciting than this,
Yeah.
then put your energy there. And you don't have to understand why. You're like wanting to like look a little more into that because like you said, things start to just fall into place. And you have to play and you kind of have to kind of go into the playground and to learn what it is that you like, and so if you don't know what it is you want to do, exactly, just kind of start doing things and then it will spark excitement and interest and lead you to something else and this and that, and that's the only way to really fall in alignment to your path. And that's the thing, when I started all this, my motto was one was to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because it was very like challenging in the beginning. So I just went with that, and I said yes to everything that felt right, even if mentally my mind was like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Like someone was like, can you come to a talk on
like
astrology? Yes, exactly. It's like, do you want to come to? I said yes. My body's going, no. My body was saying yes.
Okay.
My mind was going no. Right? So it is just recognizing. For me, I just said yes to the things that I physically knew, even though mentally my mind would be like, oh, that's scary, right?
Yes.
So again, learning to listen to your body. All those yeses led me to doing everything I'm doing today, even though I didn't understand what or why. I was just like, yep, that feels right. Yep, that feels right. So.
I'm very similar that way too, because it's, there's always fear with people, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, okay, well, if I resonate with it, if it feels like something that's for me and I'm scared, I do it anyway.
Right.
That's the kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're never going to know if you don't try.
Yes, and it does get easier the more you do. Like the more you say yes to the things that feel right, it becomes like more exciting, I guess.
Yeah. And of course, just making sure that those things are for your best good.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to be doing stupid stuff that hurts yourself.
It's like, oh, sure, why not? I'll do it.
That's not what we're saying.
No.
But it's like, if it resonates and it makes you feel good and you need to explore that more, we just encourage you to take that step, because I feel like it's kind of a visual of your feet are going and the rocks will come under your feet as you walk.
That's how I feel too. I always see that
like
visually.
It might not be there, but I trust it will.
Yeah.
And you just do it anyway. And it feels so good when you actually get to the other side of whatever fear you had and you're like, okay, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
Because it just changes everything.
Yeah, and it gives you more confidence and trust in yourself and trust in your journey and your path. So, yeah.
Yes. Just any final thoughts before we finish up for today? Just looking to see if there's anything.
I think just be curious, play, have fun. Don't take things too seriously, and when life is serious, just try and see how you can understand it more, so that you can bring things to light. Because I think sometimes just witnessing and holding space for things can be very helpful. So, yeah.
So with Mars in retrograde, we're going to pause a little more.
Yes.
Take those times to be still, enjoy life, and not give yourself so much to do that you forget who you are.
Exactly. Yeah. Be mindful of where your energy is going. Don't just say yes because you can.
Right? Although if it's a goal of yours.
Unless it's a goal. Oh my goodness. Yes.
You're exploring and
right. All the complexities, right? It's just figuring out what's your formula to find harmony and peace within, and you'll know when it's true and right for you, right? So if something's not working, just go within and feel, so that you can hear what's right, and let your mind do other things than try and create more stress and chaos. And I even feel like, even at this point, I feel like I'm like over talking now. Things are becoming confusing. It's like, right? It's like,
you're good.
Stop talking.
Like, I've said what I needed to.
Yeah, I'm just like now making things up.
No, just kidding. No, but it's been really nice having you on today.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
I always love talking to people and finding more about them, and so this is one of those ways we can do that. And so, yeah, very grateful for that. And if you need to learn more, she's your girl. And coming up, we have 2 more full moon astrology and sound baths. So that's February 15th and March 15th. That's off the top of my head, but those are Saturday nights in the middle of the months. And so that's our goal, is to continue those monthly so that we can bring some clarity, some assistance, some tools, and also to help transmute anything that's been going on with you through the sound bath. So yeah, very exciting stuff. We've also got tons going on around this place, like crazy busy, really great. We have a couple new team members. If you guys haven't met Tanya Farhay, she's in now as our reflexologist. We also have Allison Taylor, who's just started on with Zenden. She's in February, so she's, I think, got her first class on Saturday. So it'd be really great if you came out to check out what she's got going on. I believe it's a meditation class. Yeah, so
Nice.
check out our website, Solaunawellness.com, and also ravenmagic.com to find out more about what Billie's up to. And yeah, I really encourage you to do that human design test that she's got on the website. So go check it out and see where that goes. I think you'll be really surprised.
It's fun.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to hit the finish button now, and we'll let you get on with your day. So if you catch us on the replay, just shoot us a message if you have any questions. Take care.